Good afternoon, Barry.
Hi,
Today
John. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I think we're going to talk about one of the most alarming things going on in America today, namely the willingness of some electorates to elect socialists.
Well, that's happened in Colorado, so it certainly is an interesting issue.
Well, I mean, it's happened a few times in New York, and we keep seeing polling results that say younger people, especially, think socialism is not just cool, but the way to go. And of course, we know where they learned that. It's amazing. Our system that can't teach in our 51 school systems that can't adequately teach teaching and reading and math are able to convey really bad ideas like collectivism and anti-freedom, anti-capitalism. Capitalism, all it is freedom, freedom to make deals. So now we have socialists winning elections. This is part of what nation at risk meant, and that term was coined in 1983 by a national commission that said, if a foreign country was doing to us what we are doing to ourselves, it would be seen as an act of war. And they were talking about our education system.
Well, I was interested in the election of uh, Marat Quiros here in Colorado. She defeated a longtime politician, Diana DeGette. And I looked into the primary election there, and I think what happened is that we have closed primaries. So a small group of people can control the primary process and the election process for that matter. And the Democratic Socialists of America in Denver, there are 1,800 members, 1,800 people, and they almost kept to get off of the primary ballot altogether, but Quiros won by a 10-point margin, a huge margin. And so I think that the problem is, in some sense, that the Democrats are coming up with left-wing candidates, the Republicans, right-wing candidates. The fact is, the majority of people in Colorado are unaffiliated. They don't identify with either party. 51% are not affiliated, which means they can't participate in primaries. So this means that a small group of people, as occurred in Denver, can put a socialist candidate on the ballot, even when you have a moderate with lots of experience and so forth. So I think the problem is that for the 51% of the voters in Colorado, neither the Democrats nor the Republicans are coming up with very good choices. So I guess in part you just don't vote, or you vote independent. And so we get the outcome is not very good, because we have the majority of voters in Colorado, and this is true in the nation, are independent. And they're not really given much of a choice. So, as you know, this is why I support direct democracy, where you put an issue on the ballot and you can get people to agree on an issue, but we seem to be in more and more disagreement about candidates or politicians.
Yeah, well, this is one of the reasons that the founders decided to write a document that limited the scope of politics, but we've steadily expanded it, and now the both parties, as you say, are alienating a lot of voters who are opting out of the the selection process for the party candidate. And so now we're going to be governed by, as you say, extremists of the right or the left. And increasingly, the political spectrum is a circle more than anything else. Some of the ones on the right, in effect, want fascism, crony capitalism, more government control of the economy through buying shares in companies and members of a board of directors and so on, which at one point is really not all that much different than what the nutcases on the left are proposing. And yeah, you say open primary would be better. I'm still back with the founding fathers at limiting the scope of politics, because the open primary, as we've seen recently, I can't remember the specific examples, are gamed by the people in the other party to choose the weakest possible candidates for their opponents for the general election. So, yeah, we're going to have to think a little bit more about this and figure out the way out of it. And we better figure it out in time, because otherwise the people in power will not enact the solutions that we propose, because they're benefiting from this dysfunctional system. And people like George Soros can throw a little bit of money in there, and at low voter turnout elections get not representative candidates to actually win elections.
Yeah, and I think this is happening across the country. I think people are becoming certainly disillusioned about the whole electoral process and the way in which candidates are selected and so forth. And so as I've argued many times, I think we need some more direct democracy where citizens can vote on issues and policies, and if we had a more direct democracy, I think we would have more of that, what I call the silent majority, which is the majority of voters who are not affiliated with either party. At least give them a voice in the process, which they, at this point, in 32 states that don't have direct democracy, they have no voice at all. At least here in Colorado, on issues like TABOR, we let citizens vote on tax increases, debt increase, and so forth. So I think that it makes a stronger case for direct democracy.
That certainly makes sense on some of the big issues, but as long as the government is big, a lot of it's going to be out of sight, out of mind, where you can't put that before the general electorate very much. A lot of the devil in the details issues are going to keep being decided by the people we elect rather than the voters themselves. So I don't know what to do, whether it's gone too far to where we can, as citizens, pull it out. And as you say, in many states, we don't even have a voice to countermand the politicians. We have to work through the politicians exclusively. And I hope maybe we are successful in adding a direct democracy to other states. And as you know from our previous conversation, I believe we need to shorten ballots a little bit, in part to produce some quality attention to these direct democracy issues. And maybe one of these days we can talk in front of the folks out there about exactly which things we ought to take off the ballot, namely which things, I would say, like county clerk and sheriff, should not be voted on because they're not policy-making positions. And if we eliminate the farce of people voting on things that they know nothing about, maybe we can at least focus their attention on the things that they do have a say in, like TABOR, which, for those of you out there who don't know what that stands for, is Taxpayer Bill of Rights, that restricts spending and debt in places like Colorado, most specifically in Colorado. Other states have TABORs, but they're not nearly as stringent, and some exist in name only, sadly.
Well, you know that the political scientists have this median voter model which argues over time the two parties should merge in the sense of proposing policies attractive to the median voter. But that's not happening. If anything, we seem to be splitting apart. So I think that the idea of this is that people, I think, are more inclined to agree on issues rather than the politicians that are presented in these ballots, and which I think strengthens the argument for direct democracy. We put TABOR on the ballot. It's still in place after several decades, which suggests that people can agree if they're given the choice.
Well, we better end it on that note. We'll talk about some of these other issues in the future. And for those of you watching, we appreciate your attention. And go have a look at policytalk.org sometime, and we'll figure out how more of us, maybe together with us, can have civil informed agreements and disagreements on important issues and enlighten other folks in the process.